guys are having a great, fantastic day. I want to make a video here on sales training for waitstaff. Sales training for waitstaff. I have 12 key points that I'd like to share here with you. Things that I do in my restaurant that helps our staff, our servers, our dining consultants, that helps us convert sales, more profitable sales, repeat guests, things like that. So it's a quick 12 points I want to go through here. This stuff is going to be gold for some people. We're going to be some gold, some new things on here for some people. So apologize for the sunglasses. My eyes are a little irritated. So that's why I have the sunglasses on. They're a little red since my flight back from Vegas the other day. I've had a little eye irritation. So that's why I have the sunglasses on. So now let's jump right into this. All right, first of all, the number one thing that that restaurant owners need to understand, restaurant management needs to understand is you treat your staff different at a restaurant, servers, versus what a car salesman is, what a tile salesperson is, what a shoe salesperson is. These are two different types of salespeople altogether. You go into a car dealership, and you go into the car dealership, your chances are you're probably not buying. You go in to look for shoes, you don't like to find the right shoe, you go to the next shoe store. You go to the tile store and you don't like what they have in there, or you don't think the price is right, you go to the next tile store. In the restaurant world, you walk into a restaurant 99% of the time to eat at that restaurant, to spend money. All right. So that's the big difference is they're walking in, guests are walking in, clients are walking in, and they're spending money regardless. There's no really sales tactics that are needed to make a sale, which is very misleading, which is why a lot of restaurant owners, restaurateurs, restaurant managers don't do enough sales training because everybody's already converting. If you were a car dealer, and every time 99% of the time someone walked in the door and you sold a car, they'll be like, "Oh wow, great! There's no fighting. There's no I should say desire to be a better salesperson. You wouldn't have a desire to be a better salesperson because you're converting everybody who walks in the door." Well, that's what happens in restaurants. Very seldom do people sit down, look at a menu, and then walk out. Where that sales tactics come in really handy is if you're in a busy street, there's other restaurants next to you, and you have somebody outside your door greeting people as they walk past to try to convert them. That's where it's more like a car salesperson, where you have to really get their attention, tell them something they like, hit on their emotions, and get them to walk in the door. For me, if I'm outside in the front of my restaurant and I'm walking around, people are looking, I always say, I have menus on outside because people are going to come up and look on my windows for menus. But I always get them in the restaurant to look at a menu. I never have them look at the menu outside because I know that once they're in my presence inside the restaurant and they look at the beautiful bar, the dining room, all the cool things, the bar, I'm going to convert them much easier when they're in my element opposed to when they're outside the door. It's harder to turn around and walk out once you're into a place. So if you have somebody that is standing in front of your restaurant, that is they're designed to grab people in for sales, have something to get them inside the door. Oh, take a look at our dining room. Here's a menu. Come inside. I'll show you the dining room. Take a look at it, because once they're inside, it's like, wow. Now, provided you have to have a clean environment, friendly environment. It has to be appealing. You can't bring them into some type of dirtier restaurant that's grins. You know what I mean? Your carpets can't be sticky because they're going to want to run out as fast as they can. But once they get into your element, and if you take pride in your element, most likely they're going to stay. So that's the first differentiating here factor. The first thing for sales. Next thing. Since day one, since 2003, we've been calling our servers consultants. They're dining consultants. That is an important terminology. Consultants get paid more than salespeople, for example. Same position, really. It is the same position, but it's a different way to look at it, a dining consultant. All right. So what happens when you go to a car dealer? When you're to sit in a seat, do you want to turn around? Do you want to figure out where all the buttons are yourself and things get really complicated? Or do you want that consultant asking you, pre-qualifying you, getting you into the car and saying, check out this cool feature, and this is cool about this, and I see that you're a little taller, so the seats actually go down further and you adjust it this way, as opposed to somebody who's tall getting into a car, being uncomfortable and saying this isn't the right car. Consultants, a good consultant, a good salesperson can can forecast in the restaurant industry, can forecast the guest's next move. What is the guest looking for? This is what I'm going to present to them. So consulting, there's a difference between an order taker, and a consultant. And I deal with this all the time with the food and beverage, with the liquor companies we order from the wine, beer, and liquor companies we order from. A lot of a lot of these companies that carry all the big brands like Jack Daniel's, Absolute, Bacardi, there's no salesmanship in selling Jack Daniel's to a restaurant owner. There's no salesmanship in that. It's Jack Daniel's has the name, it's there. They're order takers. What does take consulting and salesmanship is when you come in with an off-brand that then you need to tell me the attributes of it, where it's made, how it's made, what's cool about it, the unique selling proposition of that product. Okay, so your staff has to look, your servers, your sales consultants, your dining consultants have to look at the unique selling proposition that your restaurant offers and be able to get in depth with that if need be and explain things. For me, the one thing that works for me a ton of times, if I come in, encounter a guest, especially out on the sidewalk, or they walk in, they sit down, and I'm at the bar, I'm gonna be at the bar, and I open up the menus for them, this, and this. The one thing that I can really convert people right away on is their emotional aspect of what makes them emotional, and that's what's gonna. There's an emotional connection, they're going to have a much better experience. So for example, we have a menu, our organic cocktail menu, which is we plant trees. For every bottle of organic spirits we buy, we plant a tree. And I always go through, here's my wines, here's my beers on draft, here's my cocktail menu, here's our planted tree menu. We plant trees, we plant about 600 trees a year. When you buy something from this menu here, you actually help us plant more trees. For every bottle of organic spirits we buy, everything on here is organic. And as soon as they hear that, they're like, oh, wow. And I can convert people even outside my building as soon as I tell them that, because that plays upon their emotions. So a good salesperson, a good consultant should be able to tie in that emotional feeling. And I'm going to say, I use this in a lot of my speeches on psychology marketing. Dog food, the dog food industry is like $32 billion strong, pet food industry. The pet that's eating the food has no say. The person that's buying the food will never, ever, ever eat the food. It's a total emotional experience. It's an emotional transaction. What makes the owner feel good about what they're going to feed their pet, their cat, their dog, their puppy? What makes them feel good? So if you can connect with what makes somebody feel good for them eating, spending money, giving you money, then that's such an easier anchor, such an easier trigger, such an easier sales. So folks, consultants versus order takers. Consultants are people that make the connections for people. So now, of course, I'm going to say something here that's so redundant that a lot of restaurants do this. And you're going to be like, Marcus, we do this. Okay, so daily pre-shift meetings. Daily pre-shift meetings are essential. But what people aren't doing are post-shift meetings. You don't have to do a post-shift meeting every single time. But what happens with sports teams? They have a meeting afterwards, and they say, okay, this is what happened. This is where we went wrong. This is what we could have done better on. And let's go get them next time. And then, of course, during the week, they study the film and all that kind of stuff. They have their meetings. But after a game, a lot of sports teams will meet. The manager, the coach, wants to go over, have a post-meeting. There's nothing wrong with having a 5-10 minute post-shift meeting, end of the shift meeting. Like, you guys did great tonight. I love this. I love that. I was actually looking for more of this tonight. I was looking for, or ask them, what could have we improved upon better tonight? Or what did we do right tonight? Johnny, what was a magic moment tonight with you and your guests? What was, get the dialogue, get that going, but then also use it as, hey, what could we have done better? And that's just happened the other night with our staff. I was, in the middle of service, I wasn't going to say this, and this. I wasn't going to be nitpicky. At the end of the shift, I said everything. I said, okay, guys, what could we have done better? And they explained stuff to me. And you know what? I said, you know what? I could have been a better manager because I could have done a couple of things that would have helped us. We had a special event going on. Now, I know what I could have done as a manager. I took responsibility. I said, I could have done a couple of things to make the night flow smoother. Besides that, here's what I was looking for. So it goes both ways. They can give you feedback for you to be a better manager as well, to set up systems. I will take systems, good systems, over great leadership any day. Because when the leader's gone, the systems have to work. Okay? So if you are a manager, if you're a leader, if you're the coach, if you're the owner, you need to be able to say, if I'm not present, this still needs to flow. And that's where systems come into place. That's a whole nother topic, whole nother video. So pre and post shift meetings, crucial and essential. Menu knowledge, of course, you have to have menu knowledge. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. You cannot put, and we explain this to our servers, to our dining consultants. I cannot put you out on the floor if you don't know the menu. You have to have the ammunition to be a good salesperson, and the ammunition is menu knowledge. Menu knowledge is ammunition. Straight up and simple, that's what it is. Ammunition, menu knowledge is ammunition. Now, the next step about menu knowledge is cooking methods. You should separate the two. It's nice to know that, hey, this ingredient is from here, and it's asparagus season, and this is what we do with this, and the chef sourced it from the market, our fish every day, whatever. It's the local beef. But the other side of this is cooking methods. You should have a separate training for your sales consultants, your dining consultants, on what is braised, and have them go through and show them what braised is. Have them what a grill is, what a salamander does, broiled does, poaching, because a lot of you poach a lobster, you don't boil a lobster, right? Explain the difference to your staff of what these are and these cooking methods and the temperatures, and this will help them out with other things across the board too, like what temperature tea is supposed to be steeped at, what's the ideal temperature for coffee to be brewed at. So cooking methods are one thing that I see a lot of restaurants lack in their training, is cooking methods. Definitely teach cooking methods, and this helps your staff as well when they're talking to a guest, and guests like, well, I want some broiled lobster tails or broiled shrimp or whatever. It helps them explain, oh, okay, would you like me to put that on the grill where the flame is on the bottom, or would you like me to put that in like a broiler where the flame comes from the top? This also helps them have an intelligent conversation that does not embarrass them, where they go back to the kitchen and the chef's like, well, we don't boil this, or we don't do that, or it brings everything together. So cooking methods are huge. The next one, food cost knowledge. Food cost knowledge. We always tell our staff what we want to sell. Like, hey, this dish, it's been here 2 days, let's get rid of it. Let's push this. But I have a lot of this, push this. But besides that aspect of pushing what you have more of, the staff needs to understand what the best contribution rates are, the best margin items are on the menu. Because ultimately, that's what you want to keep selling over and over and over again. And if you're the boss, if you're the owner, if you're the restaurant owner, you've got to do the work here. You've got to understand what your food cost is on every single dish, and then be able to tell the staff. But more importantly, on your menu, when you plan your menu out, your best contributions, your lowest margin items should have a bestseller next to them, should be highlighted, should be a picture of there so they become a bestseller. Those things should pop out and be put in the right psychological places on your menu to where your eyes are flowing. So that's super, super important, is that aspect of knowing, so your staff knows all the time, hey, these 4 dishes, 5 dishes are going to make the restaurant the most money if I keep selling and selling and selling these. So the next is pop quizzes. Pop quizzes are fantastic, because pop quizzes are basically a system. Pop quizzes are a system where anybody can do this and execute this. So we have what's called a pop quiz. It takes 5 minutes, 4 minutes, 3 minutes, depending on how knowledgeable the staff is. And it's a 5-question quiz. And the topic today might be salmon. How big is our salmon? It's 7 ounces. How's it cooked? What's the sauce with it? Can it be modified? Is there a temperature? Just 5 simple questions on one topic, on one dish. And that there will build the confidence of all the staff. And it's not just for the servers or your waiters, waitresses. It's for everyone staff. The bus people, everybody, the barbacks should be taking all these quizzes as well, because that you want to move people up. Nowadays, it is so difficult to hire people. If somebody's been working with you for a year and they're willing to learn and move up in the chain of command, move up the ladder, then you want to take advantage of it. This is why you want to train all your staff on this kind of stuff. Just because somebody's a barback or a bus person doesn't mean that they should not know all this stuff, and that's crucial. This will help you retain staff. This will definitely help you. When it's recruiting times, you don't have to recruit as much. You have somebody already automatically in there, and then by them just learning it, they can actually know. Plus, folks, the guests have face-to-face time with these people. Just because somebody's a barback or a busboy doesn't mean they're going to get a question of like, how is the lobster linguine cooked tonight? they're going to get the same questions because they're in the proximity of your guests. So do not train these people differently. Okay, don't. I see some restaurants will say, yeah, we don't, our servers get this in-depth, menu knowledge. Give everybody an in-depth menu knowledge from right up front, and say this is what's expected of you. This is what it's expected for you to know. So next step is pre-qualify a guest. A lot of guests will simply say to the server, what's good here? What's good? And the server will spend time, and then the guest will turn around and say, well, I'm vegetarian, or I don't eat meat. So pre-qualify the guest. Is there anything you do or you don't eat? And that right there will save a lot of time. Well, I'm a vegetarian, or you know what? I'm looking for a steak tonight. Oh, great. We have 3 steaks and this, and this. So that helps out a ton if you pre-qualify the guest. It just saves time and energy. Now, if you have a table of 4 and they're asking this question, we're assuming that it's a mixed varied diet. So at that point, you're going to say, on the beef side, we have this. On the fish side, this is our number 1 seller, our best recommendation. This is, as far as appetizers go, I recommend this, and this. If you're vegetarian or feel like eating vegetarian tonight, look at this on our vegetarian menu. The polenta is our house favorite, whatever. So if it's a 4-top asking out or a bigger table, you can actually then round out and section everything off. So the people that are vegetarian will listen when it's vegetarian. The people that are meat eaters will listen when you say, oh, and on the meat side, on the steak side of things, this, and this. So then they can cue in on that. So psychology of the menu, or psychology of sales. Psychology of sales is fantastic. So when people order something, a good salesperson will reassure them that they're buying something of the utmost quality, of very popular, so when you go to buy shoes, if you're looking at all these shoes and you buy a pair of shoes and the salesperson says to you, man, those shoes, just so you know, those are one of our most popular selling shoes because the craftsmanship, the durability, they're handmade. Great choice. That's going to make me feel better than opposed to me just buying these shoes and walking out the door. I'm still going to be happy I have new shoes, but I'm going to be happier to know that other people like the shoes, that it's a bestseller, and then it's made with craftsmanship. So this works well with when you sell bottles of wine. You suggest bottles of wine, or somebody buys a bottle of wine. Oh, wow, that bottle of wine, that's one of our most popular Italian bottles of wine on our list. That's one of our most popular bottles in that price range. It's a really big seller. We've actually had this wine on our list for 10 years. It's been just been a true wine to us, and it's very consistent. Great choice, by the way, on that bottle of wine. That makes them feel better. This is psychology, right? This is emotion, psychology. That makes them feel better. And I always say to people, when I introduce them to psychology marketing, I always say, when you walk into a grocery store, you're walking up, whether it's, Walmart, whatever, and there's the line of very neat shopping carts. And then there's this one lonely shopping cart that's sitting out in the front of these. It's not in that stack. Where do you go? Most people go right to the neat row of shopping carts because they automatically think, without processing any thought process, that the one sitting on its own is an oddball and it's broken. The wheel's broken, something's wrong with it. They just automatically assume, hey, that's a bad shopping cart, and they move on with split-second decisions. Same thing if you were to walk by 4 or 5 bars in on a street, and it's summertime, the doors are open, you can see clear as day inside each bar. You walk down, there's 4 right in a row. One has 0 people. One has 10 people. One has 30 people and music. Where are you going to gravitate towards? Probably the one that's busier. Probably not going to walk into the one that has, unless it has such curb appeal and there's something else that's grabbing you in. You want to go where the action is. And this is why sports arenas keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. The more people you put together, the more synergy there is, the more fun there is. So by aspect of leveraging other people's choices, other people's opinion on you, this helps sell. And this is where the psychology of marketing comes in. This is one of my most popular speeches, is the psychology of marketing and making over your website to cover a lot of the cognitive biases of buying, where your brain's tricked or makes split-second decisions. I should say makes split-second decisions on what to buy because that lonely shopping cart's sitting out there and something's wrong with it. Quick decision. I'm not buying that shopping cart, even though it's free, but still, it's a transaction. I have to go grab that. I have to go grab that. I'm going to grab the one that I think is the better one. So psychology is huge, huge, huge. So one thing that a lot of places don't do enough of, and including myself, because this is just one of those things that needs to go on and on and on and on and on. Role playing, constant role playing. Put your staff through scenarios of, somebody just ordered the steak. Okay, it's medium rare. Oh, would you like to add a lobster tail or shrimp onto that? There's certain things that will help with the upsell. Upselling is huge, by the way. Upselling is the name of the game. A lot of restaurant owners talk to our staffs. Restaurant managers talk to us about upselling, but they miss these other 12 keys that I'm talking about right here and differentiating the fact. So upselling is the name of the game, to make sure that they actually maximize and spend the most amount of money while they're sitting in your seat, because that's the name of the game. Every chain restaurant knows, every well-run restaurant knows their numbers and knows these kind of things. Upsell, but they also know their per person average, the lifetime value of a guest, all these kinds of things. They understand their flow on the time of the day. All these are very figured out. So upselling is huge. So that's why I'm not pulling that much effort in the upsell here, because upselling is just thing. But role playing, and add the upselling into there. Now, I've asked, being in business 17 years and having waitstaff, servers, dining consultants, I've seen some very, 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 very successful ones and some that are not so successful. They get by. They're able to have good check averages. They're able to do, but I've always asked my most successful ones. And one of the ways I figure out if somebody's successful is if I'm reading online reviews on Yelp and TripAdvisor, that their names get mentioned the most. Okay, so-and-so took care of me. He was wonderful. So-and-so recommended this bottle of wine. She was amazing. When you start seeing specific names showing up in Google, Yelp, and TripAdvisor reviews, Facebook reviews, online reviews, when you start seeing names of your staff showing up consistently, you should be going to that staff and having that staff train your other staff, because that is huge. For somebody to first give you a good rating is hard enough. Restaurant in general, that's tough. People are more than willing to give you a bad review. They're just like, I had a terrible time there, I got ripped off, I'm going to smash them on Yelp tonight, right? I'm going to Yelp them tonight. But people will say, I had a great experience. Very seldom do they actually go out of their way to actually give you a good review. And then what's more on top of it is, they're going out of their way. Now they're mentioning a staff member very specifically, their name, his name on top of it. That right there is like, oh, wow, you just got like, the gold seal of ratings when they're mentioning your staff's names. Now, they might say the waiter was pleasant, the server was pleasant, but when they say, John, my waiter, was amazing, when they mention his name, they took enough care. That guest took enough care to remember their name, know their name, and remember their name. This brings it now to the next level. So, what you do, you ask all these staff members, like, how do you do it? What do you do? Teach the other people. And we do this all the time. And the one common denominator that I've noticed on every single person throughout the course of 17 years, we opened 17 years ago, online reviews weren't a thing, but once they started becoming a thing, for the last decade or so, the one common denominator is I treat them like friends. I treat them like they're my friends. That's it. That's the one common denominator. They're welcome. They welcome into the house and into the restaurant like they're my friends. I talk to them. I treat them like they're friends. I take care of them like they're a good friend. That's what I do. I take care of them. I host them like they're a good friend. Common denominator. So that's super, super powerful. Now let's talk about the number one ultimate upsell. This is the number one ultimate upsell that your staff can do, that your sales, dining consultants, servers, whatever you call them, the people that are processing the orders. This is the number one upsell. This is the one thing that will make you the most money out of anything that I just spoke about. The number one thing is get them into your database. If your staff can convert them, which means they've had a great time, had good food, they like what you're doing, if you can convert them and get them into your database to communicate to them on a regular basis and get them back the second and third time, you will have a customer. You'll have a lifetime customer. You'll have somebody who is now in a habit of coming to visit you, in a habit of that. Now, people can have a great experience and this and that and be conveniently located to them and come back to you without you getting them into your database. But if you're a good marketer and they're in your database, you know how to work the database, that point right there will help bring them back and back and back and back. So whether it's a text message marketing, email marketing, connect with them on Facebook, snail mail. I love snail mail. I love getting people's birthday. I love sending them postcards for their birthday. 34 to 1 return, by the way, for every dollar I spend on a postcard. I get back $34 for a birthday offer. It's a home run. But I wouldn't be able to have that kind of success with 34 to 1 ROI on birthday offers if I didn't get them into my database. That right there, folks, is the number one upsell, getting them into your database. If you are a restaurant owner and you're not getting a database, shame on you. You're doing a disservice to yourself, to the people who rely upon you for jobs, because this is the number one way. Retargeting. When you go to Zappos and you go online, I use Zappos, but tons of companies, thousands upon thousands upon thousands upon thousands of companies do this. You go online, you go to their website, you leave their website, you log into Facebook a minute later or a day later or 5 days later, and what pops up there? Oops, there's that ad from Zappos. It's called retargeting because you're fresh on their mind, right? You just ate at a restaurant, you just had a great meal, you just gave your email address, your phone number, your birthday. A follow-up means that they're going to stay fresh in your mind. There was an industry standard, I read it years and years and years ago, but guests love to hear from their favorite restaurant every like 22 days. They like to hear what's going on, whether it's an email, a newsletter. It used to be snail mail newsletters, there's nothing wrong with snail mail newsletters these days, nothing at all, because nobody else is doing them, so you'll stand out. So they like to hear from their restaurant every 22 days. So if you're not sending an email blast, if you're not sending them birthday offers, award certificates, something like that, then you are missing out totally missing out. So folks, those are my 12 steps for creating upsells. And I called it an upsell, but for really maximizing your waitstaff, your dining consultants, for maximizing them to create the most profits for your restaurant. So managers, restaurant owners, a lot of this is on you to set the example, to keep this consistent, to keep it rocking and rolling, and then you put it in the hands of your dining staff to make all this happen. So it takes two of you to make this happen. You just cannot expect to show somebody, here's our menu, learn it. Those days are long over. Those didn't work back in the day. Very few people actually accelerate on their own without guidance, without coaching. So 95% of people out there need guidance, coaching, follow-up. They need that. They need encouragement. There's 5% of people out there, I'm going to say 5% of us, that do not need that. We're self-driven, we're self-motivated, we're excellers. We want to ask them for the menu ahead of time so we can study it and learn it. All right. There's 5% of people who are actually like that. And what happens to those 5% of people? They get promoted. They get promoted to management. They get promoted to owner. They get their own place. And us 5%ers then don't understand why the other 95% aren't doing the stuff themselves. Well, I don't understand, because when I was a server, when I was a cook, when I was self-motivated. I did that. I just need more people like me. Well, if there's more people like you, they've gotten promoted already, or they're going to get promoted very quickly and be one of you. They're going to be a peer manager, a peer business owner. They're going to be somebody like that. Those people don't stay in the ranks that long. They rise the ranks. Okay, so that's how that is. And most of us 5%ers manage those 95%ers the wrong way, and we don't get production. So this is a two-way street here when it comes to getting the most out of the sales of your staff. All right, a lot of people tuning in today. I appreciate a couple of other fellow restaurant owners. Appreciate that. And again, this is my 12 steps. By the way, this 12 steps is in my Restaurant Growth Secrets University, RGSU, restaurantgrowthsecretsuniversity.com. It is a membership site. There's a lot of information you get there without joining the membership site, but this is broken down into 12 steps, 12 separate in-depth videos for you to learn from, examples, things like that, much more in depth than I went in today. Restaurant Growth Secrets University. It is a great deal. If you go in there, you can also get my book for free. If you go into that website as well, just hit the free book, click the free book, and we'll send you that offer out. Just pay a few bucks for shipping and handling, and we send the books all over the world. So everybody, thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it, and until next time.